Welcome to Uniquely Female Troubles. My name is Leslie Wells. Today I'm going to read a poem that I wrote on February 20th, 2024, and it's called What He Wants. Back before caller ID, I answered the phone in my fake happy voice. It could be a distant aunt or an old friend I haven't talked to in years. It's you, my husband. I revert to my real voice, slow, low, sad, angry, and everything else I don't want to be. Everything you don't want me to be, but I am. One day you tell me you want me to talk to you in my happy voice. I explain that my happy voice is my fake voice, my phone voice. You explain that you don't care. Okay, I say. I made the mistake of thinking that my husband wanted to talk to the real me. You set me straight on that. I won't forget who you don't want, which is me. That really happened. That was a real conversation. And in a way I get it, because back before we had caller ID, we all, at least everybody I knew, answered the phone like, hello? We had our voices went up in the end like a question mark because we didn't know who would be on the other end. And so I still answer the phone that way. And I think a lot of people my age do too. And kids don't answer, well, I shouldn't say kids. Younger people who are not necessarily children do not answer the phone that way anymore because they already know who's on the other end of the line. But that's just such a habit that we've done our entire lives that we still have that question mark like, hello? So, and when you have no idea who's on the other end, you do the same thing you do when you go to a store. Most of us, when we go to a store, like we're checking out, the cashier says, oh, hi, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm fine, how are you? No, even if you feel like dying, even if you feel like you're going to drive off a cliff when you leave the store, even if you feel like, even if it's the worst day of your life, unless you literally can't do it, usually we put on a fake voice. And we use that fake voice back when we answered the phone before caller ID, because it could be anybody. And the time that I'm describing in the poem, my real voice was not a happy voice because my real self was not a happy self. My real self was very miserable and depressed. And so when I found out it was him, then I let my real self have used my real voice. But instead of asking me like, why do you sound so sad? Or when I told him that was my real, that the voice he didn't want to hear was the real one. And he never asked me a word about why. Not a single word, not a single question. It was just like, well, I don't want you to talk to me in that voice. Even after I told him that was my real voice. I want to hear the other voice. I want to hear the happy voice. You use that happy voice for other people. I want you to use it for me. And I felt like saying, but aren't you supposed to know me better? Are you supposed to know me more and more intimately than anybody else I talk to? But it didn't matter. What mattered was that he wanted to hear what he wanted to hear. He wanted to know what he wanted to know, and what he didn't want to know what was going on with me. So, yeah. I wonder how many people that's true of in our lives. People that should want to know the real us just want to know the happy us. Even if the happy us is the fake us. So that's something to think about. It's sad, really. Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate you watching this video. Have a good day.